Is there a period in cycling that really stands out for you? For me, it's the 80s and 90s. I can still remember sitting down and getting the shorts of the Tour de France and the Giro d'Italia as broadcasting of those sort of races started to improve around the world. And here in Australia, we were getting sort of an hour a day of what was happening in those races. So we were starting to visualise what was happening in Europe, and starting to see some of the people, the athletes, the teams, the scenery, and also the bikes. And for me, growing up in a country town, we didn't have access to, real top-end bikes. So now I'm a bit older, and with the internet and travel options more available to us, we have more access to some of these bikes. So hi, welcome to the channel. This is Golden Age Cycling, and my name's Craig. What I'm planning to do is to run a series of videos on called What's in the Van. And the van we're talking around is this one here. So this is my van, and there's always a bike in the van. Wherever I go with work or with leisure, there's always a bike in there for me to ride. So we're going to have a look at today what's in the van. And it may be a dead giveaway with the Merckx Motorola shirt on, and yes, you'd be right, there's a Merckx in there. So we're going to have a look at that bike. We're going to take it for a run. It's genuine spec from the era, from the early 90s. But there's also a bit of a twist in the story, so you want to hang around because I'm going to get something else out that's going to surprise you as well. So there we have it, the Merckx Motorola from 1991-1992 period. It's running the Columbus TCX steel frame, so it's not the top end race bike, but that's okay because this really suits my needs. I've done it up to replicate the race bikes from that area, particularly around Phil Anderson, who was obviously Australia's leading cyclist at that time, performing really well over in Europe. In the back end of his career was on the Motorola, in the Motorola team, and did quite well. So this bike's running full Dura-Ace 7400 series. It's in pretty good condition too. So the frames had touch-ups with the paint, so it's not absolute original paintwork, but it's near enough, and it's more than near enough for me. The Dura-Ace, so it's running those new briefed up levers that they came in the 7410 series, and Phil Anderson was trialling those in his days as well when they first came to market. So it's running a set of those that work quite well. The brake sets, the Dura-Ace 7400 series brakes, front and rear. The matching Dura-Ace rear derailleur and front derailleur. And a brake set as well, which is in pretty good condition. So I think it's running, what are we running, 5239. And the back is, in that era, what are they running, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 speed. So the 8 speed cassette on the back there goes up to about a 23. So not really a climbing bike for me. In my age, I've just turned 60, so really love riding the bikes, but getting up big mountains on this thing's not what it's designed for. Really enjoy it down here. I'm in the Megalong Valley, sort of west of Sydney, on the backside of the Blue Mountains. There's just some rolling hills down here. We're going to give the bike a bit of a try out on today. So yep, the original steel frame is nice. Steel forks as well. It's got the Merckx 130mm stem and a Tonelli set of bars, and these are a 40cm width, and the saddle is the San Remo saddle that they were using back in the day. So the hubs are Dura-Ace as well. The rims, I'm not exactly sure. They're an aluminium rim, I think an Array or something like that. Came with the Motorola cycling team stickers on them. But you can get decals from anywhere. And I'm currently running a set of Continental Gator Skin tyres of these in a 25mm. Which is not what they were running back in the era, but that's okay. That's the bit that's on the road for me, and I need grip and a little bit of comfort. So the race number here come from Melbourne, from Cyclo Retro. Thank you, Chris, for that. And some of the other decals that I've got done up come from Greg Softly. Nice little build. There is one little special thing on here that should be noted, and that's some dude scribbled all over it, and that would be Phil Anderson himself. So I met up with him at the bike show down in Melbourne a couple of years ago, and he signed this bike for me, which I really appreciate. I'm currently running a set of the Podio Eddy Merckx magnesium pedals, although I don't ride with them because I don't have the cleats to go with them. They're on there for display only. It's a bit big for me. So let's get some measurements on it. So the top tube is 56. Seat tube is 57. So the 57, 56. They got 130 on that stem there. So it's a fairly big frame for me, much bigger than I ride. So that's about a 57 with a 130 stem on it. And that's significantly bigger than what's going to suit me. I ride anything from sort of the 54 and below, and usually got a stem around about no more than 100. So it's a bit of a stretch for me, but with the seat down, I still am able to ride it, probably not for long periods. Now for me, what I'd really like is a much smaller frame, something around like a 52, 53 maybe at the most, that runs, you know, perhaps something like a Dura-Ace 9000 kit on it, maybe some carbon wheels or something like that in like a C50. I reckon that would make this a whole lot of fun to ride. Maybe something like that. So not something you're going to see in every bike cave, but yes, there's two Motorolas in my pack. This one here is a new build. This one's only a couple of weeks old. Got her up and running very recently. So this is vastly different to that one, and you'll see this when we get out on the road. Let's have a look at the specs on this one. So the top tube is at 52, my size. Seat tube is 50, so it's quite a small frame. The head stem is a 100mm, 10cm, so it's quite a good size frame for me. It's running Dura-Ace 9000 full set. So the full Dura-Ace 9000, the cranks, the derailleurs, the brake set, the levers, are all DA 9000, which run really, really nice and reduce the weight on this a fair bit as well. These are the Dura-Ace C50 rims, 7850, so it's a 10-speed wheel set, but I've got an 11-speed cluster on there because the 11-speed cluster's been machined at the back of it, which enables it to go onto a 10-speed wheel set, which saves you a fair bit of money in buying cheaper rims than the 11-speed rims. It's got a cheap Chinese carbon seat post on it. It's got carbon FSA bars, they're in a 40cm as well, and a carbon Bontrager white saddle on there as well. And just to finish it off, they've got a Merckx bottle to go with it in white. So let's get on the road and test these out and see which one performs better. These steel frames are so nice to ride on. This just feels smooth and it does feel comfortable as well. It just feels enjoyable. It just makes me think sometimes why, with the commercialisation of the bike industry, everybody believes you got to be on carbon. Just have a steel frame, put some modern components on it. They are very nice to ride. This one with the 7400 series on it still rides very well. The gears work well. It's the first generation of the drifters where the gear levers came onto the brake levers, and they work exceptionally well. Absolutely no complaints around the way that these operate. They do what they're supposed to do, and they do it very well. Well, the weight of the bike is up there a bit, you know, around 9.5 kilos. It's certainly not lightweight on the climbs, but for a Sunday morning ride, this is excellent. Find something with rolling hills, and this cruises beautifully. The seat, old Sam Marco's seat. We've certainly redesigned the ergonomics of those over the decades. They really don't conform to your ass. You tend to slide a bit around on it. But yeah, it is what it is. Probably wouldn't choose this for a 200k ride, but out for a Sunday morning cruise, that's not a problem. And if you just listen to the bike, can you hear those gears? Can you hear the ratchet on the hub? You can't hear any of that. It's whisper quiet, the way it should be. This is what it used to be back in the days. I don't know why we've gone to those noisy bloody hubs that just make a racket as you're riding through the country. There's none of that. It's just smooth and whisper quiet and totally enjoyable to ride.
Whoa.
But I guess for me, this is where this bike belongs, out on the Sunday morning rides. Getting out into nature, getting out into the mountains, going and seeing things, finding coffee shops, riding with friends, and just enjoying the experience. And there is no better way to enjoy that experience than on a steel frame bike. This bike here is the epitome of that. Sure, I can hang it on the wall, but where it really does well is getting out there and just enjoying these beautiful late winter mornings where it's a little bit cool but the sun's up and it's just beautiful out in the bush. So I've really enjoyed the ride on this bike today, up here in the mountains, and you can see how beautiful the day is. The sun is out, only a few clouds in the sky. There's a really cool breeze blowing, but the bike has just performed beautifully. It is just smooth to ride. The gears change well. The brakes are pretty crappy, but hey, that is what it is. I'm not mountain climbing on this thing or mountain descending on it. I ain't no Tom Pidcock. So the brakes slow me down. They do what they did in 1991, and they are sufficient for a Sunday morning. It's a bit more of a cafe ride. I'm getting out and doing a few miles today here in the mountains, and just really enjoying that. So if you're looking for something to get out in the cafe or to get out with the mates and just cruise on a Saturday or Sunday morning, then think about steel. It doesn't need to be a new frame. This thing here is, what are we talking, 35 years old, and a couple of chips on the paint. We can touch those up all right, but it is still structurally very sound, and the original running gear on it is crispy smooth. It works really well. It feels really nice. It does its job awesomely, and the cost of that bike is significantly less than what you're going to pay for a late model carbon frame modern group set, etc. And the experience is, for my words, perhaps a little bit better on this one. Of course, the Motorola era though was significant. The bikes themselves, in my opinion, are still some of the most beautiful looking frames that we've ever had. The colour scheme is stand out. People notice them everywhere. People still love them. It's a sought after frame set if you can get your hands on one. It's also, you know, a significant era in in Australian cycling. It was the back end of Phil Anderson's career, although still very successful on these bikes, winning some major races. And of course, it's the era when Lance Armstrong came in and won the World Championships in 1992 as part of that team as well. And there's some other great riders from around the globe who were part of that team, and you know who they are. So to be part of that era in even a very small way, which in the early 90s, I'm sort of in my prime, in my early 30s, and cycling was a big part of my life. I didn't have access to bikes like these, or jerseys and things like that, and the media was fairly slim here in Australia on what was happening around the world. The early days in getting some decent coverage to be able to see the Tour de France and some races like that. So to be able to live part of that experience again is unique and exciting and enjoyable. But if you want performance, this is the bike. It's a smaller frame, suits my size. It's lighter, it's nippy. The modern components are probably that little bit more efficient as well, and also reduce the weight. And it's an absolute flyer. This bike is just so fun to ride, and that's what cycling's about. Getting out and enjoying places like this on a fun bike. This bike doesn't feel like a vintage bike. Performs like a modern bike. I don't feel any restraint, any restrictions with this. It climbs really well. And feels really nice on the road. It's comfortable. It's compact. It's enjoyable. So will I take this on a long group ride, something 200 k's more? Absolutely. I don't feel this is any different to any of my modern carbon bikes. It feels like a modern bike, and it can keep up with the group no problem at all. Sure, I get strange looks from people thinking, wow, you're riding an old steel bike. That thing must be heavy. It's probably lighter than your bike. Weight's not the concern on this bike. It's 7.5 kilos. It's well and truly in there with anything you can buy from a shop these days, and paying plenty of money to do it. And the Dura-Ace wheels, well, they're not the most modern wheels. These are a few years old, but they're certainly a better option than the original wheels that would have been on this bike, the aluminium box section ones. But they're fine. They give me good comfort and compliance on the road. They're stiff enough to get out of the saddle and really push the power a bit for what I need. It's not a high-end, top-end race bike. I can crit race on this. Within my age category. I'm not going to be racing on this at the national championships, but that's not what I want it for. I want this to get out there and be noticeable on the road, create a conversation with other riders, and it does that. Every time I get it out, someone wants to talk around, oh, the Motorola years, oh, the steel frame, oh wow, that's cool. It creates conversation, it creates friends. It gives us something to talk about when we sit at the shop in a positive way. And the Motorola era was a great one. These bikes were fantastic then, and they still are now. I could ride this all day.
and the Dura-Ace 9000 gearing on it, it works really well. You know, is it slower, not as direct as say the modern 9200? Well, the electronic gearing with its little push buttons is pretty simple. You know, I get that. The mechanical gearing, I just don't have a problem with it at all. It's still very efficient and still very direct. 99% of people are not going to notice the difference between mechanical and electronic shifting. You know, when you're on the bike 6 hours a day, I think electronics is probably something I would desire, but I'm not doing those sort of hours. So mechanical gearing I'm very, very happy with. And I don't have flat batteries. I don't have to charge it. And I can put this into the workshop, pull it out a few weeks later and know that it's ready to go. And I'm running 28mm tyres on this, so that gives a bit more grip than what I would have been used to on these wheels, and certainly with this frame. And the GP5000 tyres, which is what I use right across all my bikes, are really good on some of the rough terrain as well. These roads out here, you see, are not the best. Some pretty rough sections at times, and I even get onto the gravel. And quite happy to do sort of a champagne gravel ride on this. You know, I wouldn't be taking on corrugations and large potholes and soft sand and stuff, but gravel roads are quite okay with the 28 tyres. And I'm running about 60 psi in this at the moment. I could drop that a bit if I wanted to dedicate go on the gravel, but that's all right for most gravel surfaces out here. I think I show my age on these climbs a bit more than the bike does. There's a bit of climbing to be done out here. But the bike handles it well. It doesn't feel heavy or lethargic. When climbing, it feels nippy, just like my carbon bikes do. For me, the ultimate experience on this bike is a Gran Fondo. The Barrel Classic, Amy's Gran Fondo, Mudgee Classic, Tour of Brisbane. Perfect rides for something like this. Keep the carbon for a real race day. For the really fast crits, the technical crits, or when you really want to do your absolute best, state or national titles or something like that. Absolutely, I get the venge out. But if I'm doing 150 to 200 k's on a Gran Fondo, then time's not critically important to me. This is not going to lose me too much. I really don't believe. It's going to give me just exhilaration and enjoyment, which is going to improve my performance. And I'm sure along the way people are like, wow, Motorola, steel frame, how's that going? Well, it's going well. It's going as well as anything else in the event. Now, if I wanted this bike to perform better in a Gran Fondo or a high-end race, what would I do? I'd probably lose a bit of weight myself, do a bit more training. Moving from this bike to my top of the range Venge is going to give me minor gains. The big gains come from getting me fitter, getting me stronger, not the bike. This thing's a performer. The bloke on it, well, he's got work to do.
So it doesn't get much better than cycling through the Megalong Valley. It's been an absolutely beautiful morning here. A little bit cool, around about 10 or 11 degrees. So a little bit rugged up. It's been a really nice ride on these beautiful machines. So what do I think about them? Well, the original one from 91, 92 is a bit big for me. So it makes it that little bit uncomfortable for me to ride. But that's okay. I've come that with the seat down, I guess. It's also got the long stem on it, 130mm, which I'm really reached out on that. So it's not ideal for me to ride, but it's a beautiful bike to look at. It's a beautiful bike to own, which is why I bought it, and it is a nice bike still to ride. So I grew up on steel frame bikes with early model gearing and obviously rim brakes as well. So this is nothing unique to me. It's something that I've ridden before, although perhaps not that quality. My bikes when I was in my late teens and early 20s were not the quality of the Dura-Ace and the frame that's on this bike. So it's, for me, sort of it's a pleasure to ride. It feels smooth on the road, it feels comfortable, it feels just nice and crisp to ride. It's not overly responsive, it's not going to be. It's an old steel frame, and it's quite large for me as well. So it's something that I'm going to enjoy on weekend rides out with a nice cruisy group, and just enjoy the history of what it is. The Dura-Ace gearing and the brakes, they're beautifully smooth. They work really well. I have no problem with it all. I'm not doing mountain descents or mountain climbs, with the small gearing. So I'm not concerned around the performance of those elements. I prefer to get onto the rolling hills and just enjoy what the bike is. The aluminium wheels are not what we're used to with the beautiful, more comfortable carbon rims of these days. But if you've ridden that sort of stuff before, you sort of understand that and you just enjoy it for what it is. So I really enjoyed the ride, and the bike itself runs absolutely beautiful. The resto mod is another thing altogether. So the frame on that one is similar to the original version, built the same time, around 91, 92. It's a strata frame. It's perhaps a little bit lighter, but doesn't have perhaps the stiffness of the high-end racing frame they built in the MX Leader and those sort of things at that time. And that's fine for me. It's not what I need. This runs about 7.2 kilograms in that build, so it's nice to be able to climb with that bike. It gets along really well. With the Dura-Ace 9000 on it, it's runs like Dura-Ace 9000 always has. It's crisp and clean. The gearing on it runs really well. The braking performance on it is quite good. I'm happy to have the carbon C50 wheels with the aluminium braking surface on it. I think that's probably better than the carbon. With modern carbon wheels, I think you go to disc brakes, and that probably performs a lot better. But I'm really happy with the way that bike rides. It's really good in climbing. It's nippy, it's responsive because it is light, and it's also a very small frame as well. The gearing on it is suitable for most of the climbs around here, and the braking is more than adequate for coming back down the mountain. So I had no problems with that at all. It's an absolute joy to ride. It feels like a modern race bike to me, even though it's got the steel frame. So I love that balance from the old stuff to the new stuff, and it gives me something that is an absolute pleasure to ride at any time. I use that bike a fair bit because it's enjoyable to get out and ride on. I'm happy to take that on group rides, and the question is, of course, could I race that bike? And the answer is, so here we are. I'm out with the Waratah Masters at Lansdowne this morning. I'm rolling in C grade as I normally do, although I haven't been out for a while due to illness and other things, so I'm sort of only semi-fit. But I've got the Merckx Motorola with the upgraded DA9000 on it, and I want to see how it races. This should be very interesting. We're out for about 40 minutes plus a lap or two on a undulating sort of circuit here in sort of bushy area. So it's a really interesting course. This it's a lot of fun.
Good luck. Roll out.
Well, that was a lot of fun and achieved the objective as well. This was just a test to prove that the bike was competitive, less so for the rider. My fitness is well and truly down at the moment, so I was unlucky to be competitive in the sprint, which was proved quite true, but able to sit in with the group for the whole race and felt fine. Had a go at the prim, jumped a little bit late, no prizes for second place except for fatigue. I learned that one pretty quickly. The bike feels nimble and quick. Diving through those fast corners is really good. I don't feel nervous about the brakes at all. You don't need heavy braking in this sort of a race, so the rim brakes are fine, just to slow me on those points where the group sort of pulled back a little bit on the fast descents. She climbs really well, accelerates really well, feels comfortable. Really happy racing on this bike. It's really, really nice and a whole lot of fun. That's a solid 50 minutes of racing. It wasn't the fastest C-grade group we've had out there. They were a little bit off the pace today, which some days are fast, some days are not. That probably suited me a fair bit. If she'd have been a fast one, I'd have probably been in a lot of trouble earlier on because my fitness is not up to the task at the moment. See how we go getting into summer. Perhaps I'll bring this bike out again for another race because I think it races quite well. You know, it's up there with what everybody else is racing. Now, it's full carbon out in the group, there's no doubt about that. I did see a titanium bike there. There's certainly no other steel out racing. You can see the aluminium, plenty of rim brakes and mechanical gearing. Not everybody's gone full modern spec, but for a race like this, I don't think that matters at all, because mechanical shifting is quick enough for racing like this, and rim brakes perhaps more aerodynamic than discs, but provide the performance that's required for this sort of racing. Maybe different on a mountain descent or something, but not for something like this. And getting plenty of comments about the bike as well. People pointing at the Motorola as I'm coming through, so it's a fair bit of interest in the old steel and the old teams, which is really good.
How'd you go?
I stayed there. Finished with the group.
So I'm back in the workshop with these two Motorola beauties. It's been a great weekend of filming. I've really enjoyed getting out on both of these and spending a bit of time out on the road. So as a bit of a wrap up, the original spec with the Dura-Ace 7400 and the larger frame rolls really well on the road. It's nice and smooth. The gears run buttery smooth as well, and it rides like a typical sort of heavyweight early 90s bike. It's not very light, it's not very nimble, it's way too big for me, but it's a beautiful bike to own, and yet still a beautiful bike to ride. The upgrade, the Resto mod, so 91, 92 frame, the Strata frame there, it's around about a 50 centimetre frame that's been upgraded to the Dura-Ace 9000. We've seen we can race on that and race quite well. So the only thing holding that back was me. I'm not as fit as I should be at the moment. Not that I'm ever super fit because I'm 60 years old, but I was really happy with the performance of that out on the crit there this morning. So there's no reason you can't ride steel bikes in races. Perhaps upgrading the gears and having some carbon wheels sort of makes things, you know, vastly easier. I wouldn't really like to be riding something with down tube shifters and those sort of things, fiddling around with that in a crit, but that performed as good as any other bikes out there, I think. So I was really happy with how that rode out there this morning. So the question is now then, what do these bikes weigh? It's the only spec that I haven't given you, so let's have a bit of a look at that. Okay, so first up we'll get the big girl up onto the scales and see what that comes in at. Alright, so 57 frame, Dura-Ace 7400 series. It's got a race number on it. It's got a set of Shimano pedals on it as well, and comes in at 10.8 kilograms. So she's certainly no lightweight. Let's have a look at the featherweight and see how it goes. So, the bottle off. So I'm running this at the moment. I've got no Garmin mount on it, so I've got a bottle cage on there. I don't have a bottle. I've got a set of pedals on it. So it's pretty much ready to race. Let's reset that. All right, nice. So this girl comes in at 7.8 kilograms. So, and that's with an earlier model set of Dura-Ace wheels on it as well. So there's 7800 series Dura-Ace wheels, which are not heavy, but they're also not super light as well. I do have a lighter set of wheels on another bike here somewhere that are around about 1100 grams. You know, if I change those over and put them on here, I could probably pull that down just under 7.5 kilograms. So for a steel frame bike, and running Dura-Ace 9000 gearing, I think that's pretty good. And racing that at 7.5 kilograms, it felt fairly light and nimble. And being a small frame, it was certainly quite nimble. So I hope you enjoyed this first video of what's in the van. So this is the first bike that I've been pulled out of the van, and obviously I pulled 2 bikes out there as a bit of a trick. But there's more in the series to come. There's quite a few bikes to come out of the bike cave that we're going to get out of the van and take them for a ride. So if you enjoyed that, please like and subscribe, because there's a lot more content to come. And if there's something specific you'd like to see, let me know, and maybe I can help out with that. So thanks for watching, and I look forward to seeing you on the next one. Bye.